This is a 2015 Kia Soul with 2.4-liter engine. On this car, we are replacing the AC compressor. We're going to go through step by step of how to carry out this procedure. The reason we're replacing the compressor is customer reports that the AC takes a long time to start cooling. And when we put this on the gauges, we find that the low side pressure is too high, high side pressure is too low. And this is a typical symptom of failing AC compressor. This is the new AC compressor I'm going to use for this brand. It's the A Premium brand, and here's the part number. I'll also include it in the video description. It's made in China. Well, if you don't like that, get used to it, because while I'm at it, I'm also going to replace the expansion valve. I'll include a link to it, and the expansion valve is back there. Oh, there it is. It's right back there in the dark. And this is as good a time as any to replace it. Now, before I do anything else, I'm going to recover the refrigerant out of the AC system. This AC system has no leaks. It is fully charged. So before I can open it up, I'm going to suck out all of the R134A using this recovery setup. And these setups are a few $100s. You can find them online, and they pay for themselves in just one AC job if you need to do it. As you can tell from the noise, the system is running, and the gauges are telling us that we're down to zero pressure in the car's AC system. The next step is to remove the serpentine belt, and for this car and many other Hyundai and Kia cars, the alternator mount serves as the tensioner for the serpentine belt. The transverse lock bolt takes a 12mm socket. I'm going to reach down to it just like this. The adjustment bolt is also 12mm, and I find it convenient to use a ratcheting wrench like this one that fits into tight spaces in order to loosen it up. And don't forget that you must loosen up the bolt for the alternator's ear, and this takes a 14mm socket. I've loosened up the belt, and I've taken it off the AC pulley entirely. But I've left it running over the other pulleys, so it'll be easier to put back where it belongs. And for the rest of this job, we're going to have to go underneath the car. Looking up from underneath, there would be pretty easy access if it were not for this, undercover. So this is going to have to come off. The cover is off, and there is our AC compressor right where we expected it to be. Then we're going to start by disconnecting the AC lines. There's one line with one bolt right there, and the other one is a little bit higher up. There it is. Okay, so they're pretty easy to reach. We can get them right off. These AC lines are held on with 12mm hex head bolts, so this socket wrench will do the trick for both. So the lines are off, and note that these both have O-rings. They are conventional O-rings, not weird gaskets of some kind. And we're going to replace these O-rings, which is normal procedure whenever you disconnect the lines. I have in this shop drawer many sets of AC O-rings that have accumulated over the years, and I'm sure that I'll find the matching O-ring in this pile. The next step is going to be to disconnect the electrical for the compressor. There's an electrical connector up here that plugs into the compressor, and there's also this one down here for the purge valve, or the relief valve, or whatever you want to call it. And then we have the mounting points of the compressor. There are three 12mm bolts, one here, one right here, and the third one is up here, right up here. Okay. And with these connectors and bolts removed, the compressor will drop right down. Here's the olds on the right and the new side by side, and they do look pretty much identical. There's a little bracket here that's held down with a Phillips head screw. I'm going to transfer it to the new compressor. You never know when these come from the factory whether they have any oil in them and how much, so you have to check. This compressor came with nearly 4 ounces of oil in it. I always drain out the compressor before install to verify the amount of oil that's in there, and then I refill it with the same amount of fresh oil. PAG 46 is what I use. The new compressor is in. The O-rings are new O-rings are on the lines, and all I had to do is slip the belt over the pulley because the belt is still hanging on all the other pulleys, so I didn't have to mess with replacing the belt. Now for the expansion valve, it has 1 bolt from the side and 2 smaller bolts from the front. So we're going to restart with the side bolt and disconnect the lines from the valve, then we'll pull the 2 small bolts. And down in here we have 4 O-rings that can stand to be replaced. Here is the new expansion valve, side by side with the old expansion valve. And the only difference is this plastic cover. I'm going to pop it off the old valve, put it on the new one. And there I've popped the plastic cover off of the old expansion valve and onto the new expansion valve where it shall remain. For the next step, I use this vacuum pump, which is running right now, to draw vacuum on the system. And you can see here, I've drawn it down to the maximum vacuum that it can take. And then I shut it off, close up the system and shut it off, wait about a half hour, then do the second draw on it, repeat the process, so that I'm sure I've drawn out any moisture that's in there. Next, I charge up the system, and I like to bring it up to about 80 pounds before I turn on the AC, turn on the engine with the AC. Next, I start the engine and I let the AC draw as much refrigerant as it needs to get into a normal operating range. So here the low pressure, the high side pressure is increasing slowly. Once it gets to about 200 psi, I'm going to shut off the valve and let it stabilize. Okay, it came back down, so let's add some more. You can see it going up. Just going to keep doing that until it stabilizes. Okay, it's not too bad. We're getting close. This seems to be all it wants to do. Let's let it run for a little bit and we'll check the temperature in the cabin. So right now my temperature gauge inserted in the vent with the AC running is telling me that the temperature is approaching 40 degrees Fahrenheit, which is plenty cold. And these are my operating pressures. Note that I have good suction with a low side pressure opposed to how it was before the repair Before the repair, the low side pressure was up towards 60 psi, so the compressor was just not exerting any suction. And there we are with ice cold AC. It's a job that anybody can do and save you a lot of money doing it yourself. Thank you for watching.